Hello, everyone. I hope your first week went all right. Uh, Video lecture it seemed to work all right. I'm filming this on Sunday actually, and so I've seen some of our discussion question answers, and overall pretty good. I'm not able to provide feedback, direct feedback on everyone's. Usually it's quite concise, but if you see a little heart next to it, that's me doing that to show that I've read it. And if I have something of note to say, then I say it. If you, I can't provide comments after the deadline though. That's an e-class thing. So if for example this is Sunday 8 a.m. and you write your thoughts at Sunday at 11:30 p.m. I'm not going to be able to provide any feedback on that at all. So that's something to keep in mind. Don't work too hard on the discussion questions. I want to emphasize that. Don't work too hard on the discussion questions. Think of them more as like class discussion. They're part of your class participation and your activity level. So they're not homework. They're not a full-blown assignment. Don't work too hard on them. Think about if it was you raising your hand and sharing something in class. That kind of level. Don't worry too hard. Don't worry about spelling or absolute correct grammar as well. These are thoughts, not essays. So, anyways, this week we are getting into word choice and helping make our speech and our writing, our communication more memorable. And that has to do a lot with word choice, words we should use and words we should not use because they're overused or they lack definition, they lack meaning. All right, let's dive in. Let's talk about flavorful language and what that means and how it can help us improve and get better and sound more interesting to our audience, whoever they may be. Now, let's look at the screen here. Take a look. What are these things? These are marshmallows, right? They're soft and chewy and they're a bit delicious. You might like them. You might really like them. You can heat them up over a fire. They get really nice. But what are marshmallows made of? What ingredients do they have? That's right. They're just sugar and sugar. That's all they are. They're nice and fluffy. They have no nutritional value. Sugar and fat, but they have nothing else. Nothing of value. They're not good for us at all. They might taste good, but they're not good for us. And after a few marshmallows, you end up getting sick. I speak with some experience on this. If you eat too many marshmallows, you get sick. So, a marshmallow is fluffy, and that's going to be important as we go on. Now, flavorful. Here on the screen, we've got a nice, beautiful picture of some Jeonju bibimbap. Wow, so nice. This is flavorful. Lots of different flavors and colors and texture. A lot of different ingredients in this. We can see an egg. We've got cucumbers, carrots, and cabbage and lettuce. And hey, I think that's raw beef right there. All these different things on the bottom. There'll be some gochujang and there'll be some rice, and you mix it all together. It's wonderful, wonderful stuff. These ingredients are nutritious, delicious, and there's lots of variety here. You don't get one flavor when you eat bibimbap. You get so many. And that's good. That's good. The words we use are like flavors and ingredients. And that might be a good way to think about it. The words we use are the ingredients of our speech, of our writing, of our lessons. So, if we compare these two foods, marshmallows and bibimbap, we can see the difference between fluffy food and flavorful food. Which one is better to eat for us? That's right, they're flavorful. Which would you enjoy more every day? If you had to eat every day, you'd enjoy bibimbap more. After about 5 marshmallows, you're pretty done with them for a while. So this is true for our language and word choice, using the same words over and over again, it makes things stale and boring and less interesting. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. This has to do with communication and with videos and lessons. And so that's our main idea, is getting us to use more words and use the words that best fit our uses. So humans, as we are, we think visually. Flavorful language is just that. It helps us visualize the words and help us remember the content. But fluffy language is the opposite. It is abstract and formless. We don't really know what it means. And there are some words that they're so subjective, they have no meaning. So it's difficult to stay in our memories. Let me give you a quick example. There's a Korean word I hear very, very often, every day, a lot of times every day. That is 맛있다, 맛있다. Oh, 맛있어, 맛있다, 맛있어, 맛있어. What does that mean? Well, directly translated means delicious, but what does that mean, really? I mean, the food tastes good, but everyone has different ideas of flavor and taste. Something that tastes good to you might be absolutely disgusting to me, and vice versa. Something that's wonderful to me might be very bad to you. I really like red ginseng. I like hongsam a lot. It tastes delicious to me. My wife really does not like that flavor. So, what is mashita is different. Mashita is an example of a fluffy word, fluffy language, because it lacks direct meaning. People know what the definition is, of course, but not what it means to different people is very real. So let's take a look at an example here. This short paragraph. Our proposed educational development strategy for 2020 will augment the reach of each existing community outreach initiative by leveraging existing educational potential into maximum holistic procedures. Now, what does that mean? This is all, well, how many sentences are there? We've got, how many words? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 words here. How many sentences are there in this word? How many sentences? Well, we look for the period here, and we go one. There's one period. One period. So it's one sentence with 26 words. It's kind of long. So it's grammatically incorrect. It's a run-on sentence. But let's take a look with our through grammar eyes. We have the subject, our proposed education development strategy for 2020. So we have the proposed strategy will augment the reach of each existing community outreach initiative. So we have verb, and so subject will verb the reach, object by using subclause, leveraging existing educational potential maximum holistic procedures. This is grammatically correct, but it's very difficult to read. This is all fluffy language. This has lots of words here that they're real words, but they don't mean a whole lot. Maximum holistic procedures. Holistic. Do you remember what holistic means? Do you remember learning that word when you were studying for the test? You might. Holistic means entirely, the total. And so it's really quite difficult. So if we use more flavorful language, we can see here, we will strengthen both our child and adult educational programs by allowing an easier flow of resources from other departmental programs. These two sentences say exactly the same thing. They have the exact same message. They will do the same exact things. But one takes 26 letters, and the other takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So 26 versus 21, they're both a bit long, but one is more direct and one is less direct. One means what it says, and one tries to look smart. And part of writing essays as students is trying to fill the word count. That's what we're trying to do right now. We're trying to mean what we say. And something that we'll have to realize when we teach lessons, when we have lessons, we'll need to make sure we adjust our language, adjust our English, adjust our, well, how we say it for our students. If we're teaching third graders or second graders or young learners, they simply don't have vocabulary to follow along as you might expect a middle school or high school student to understand. We change how we talk. We change how we speak. And word choice is a very important part of that. So using more direct language with our young learners is helpful for letting them, aiding them to understand. All right. Another way that helps is something called the mental movie theater. Again, talking about visual language. So the goal of any piece of writing or of theater, of speech as well, should be to assist the reader in conjuring vivid images, as in you're thinking of what's going on in your head. So you read something, and then you can picture it in your mind. This allows the reader to take the message and plug it into their own vast mental database of images, a schema. I don't know if you've learned this word, but a schema is it's a web of established associations and general properties of a concept category that we started building when our brain came alive. Schema is basically what we know and how we connect things. So we learn certain things, and that helps inform us for our future decisions. We learn sometime that a dog can bite you, that it has teeth. So therefore, when we meet new dogs or we meet new animals, we're a little bit careful around them because we don't want to be bit. That's schema. We're just learning through experience. So here's an example. The definition of pomelo. Pomelo is a fruit, just to establish that we're not together. So here are two definitions of what a pomelo is. Think about if you're going to explain what they are, what a pomelo is to students. Well, one, you can say, a pomelo is the largest citrus fruit. The rind is very thick, but soft and easy to peel away. The resulting fruit has a light yellow to coral pink finish and can vary from juicy to slightly dry and from seductively spicy sweet to tangy and tart. That's absolutely correct what a pomelo is. Or, a pomelo is basically a supersized grapefruit with a very thick and soft rind. Now, there's some words here that might be more confusing. For example, if we say rind, do you remember what a rind is? When we say rind, R-I-N-D, rind. Rind, of course, is this particular words we use when talking about the skin section of certain things, most notably citrus fruits. And so, lemon rind, orange rind, grapefruit rind, things like that. But we don't say human rind. We say human skin. All right. So, which of these two definitions are easier to understand? Which one would you tell a child? Which one would you tell an English learner? Well, the second definition. Yes, it's easier to understand. What you might get a question about what a grapefruit is, obviously, but a grapefruit is jamong, it's okay. But this has a lot more words that are, wow, they're very nice and they sound very nice. They're difficult to understand, or they may not learn them yet. Spicy, sweet, what in the devil is that? Then you have to teach flavors and how you can have something that's sweet and spicy at the same time. And that gets all haka-hooey. So, thinking about flavorful language, it doesn't just mean uses pretty language. It means it uses direct and easy to understand words that means what you say and says what you mean. Something else to bear in mind, we want to use the senses. As humans, as living creatures, we're not blind, we're not deaf, we feel, we smell. Use these things because this is how we think as well. I'm sure you've had experiences of this where you smell something and memories come back to you, certain experiences or feelings. It could be perfume that your grandmother wore, things like that, or the particular kind of kimchi that your grandmother or mother makes. It brings back certain feelings, emotions, and it certainly happens. So, I have some examples, but well, here's an example. When I was younger, a young child, I lived on U.S. military base in Alameda, California. So I lived there with my family, and we go inside and we do shopping there, and that's where we lived. And it was cheaper to shop on base as well. So I spent some time in my young childhood living and visiting and going shopping on U.S. military bases. And then by the time I was 10 years old, I didn't go until I visited the DMZ, did the DMZ tour, and I had to go to the Yongsan Army base, walked inside, and that same exact smell was there. A smell I had actually forgotten about. It had been almost, about 20 years since I last smelled it. I had effectively forgotten about it. How that distinctive smell. It just smells like an army base. It just smells like a military base. That smell and all those memories of me being a young kid, 3, 4, 5 years old, they came back. And so we strongly associate things with, memories with smell, with other sensations as well. And it's very vivid to us. So let's try, when we use words, try to use words that will elicit responses. So we need to use kind of active words. And I want to give you some more examples of different kinds of bland words that I want us to try to avoid. We have 4 different categories here: chewy, tasteless, stale, doughy, and low in nutrition. Now, these keeping with the food analogy here. But we see examples here like chewy and tasteless words like really, actually, very, in my opinion, as in they don't actually say anything. Stale words, these are overused words. Ultimate, stunning, amazing, awesome, lit, no cap. All of those kinds of words, they don't mean anything. Based, if you've been there. Doughy, them, there, he, is, was, are. We'll get into that one a lot more, because these seem like very essential words. And then low nutrition words like Coca-Cola, or the marshmallow as it were. Good, nice, bad, effective, successful, what that means. So chewy and tasteless, these are like pineapple, peel, walnut husk. We don't want to eat those. We don't eat that part. And we don't want these words to be in our word choice, in our writing, to be in our speeches, in our lessons. So they slow down the reader, they slow down our audience without adding meaning. So we cut them out. Words like very, actual, in my opinion, really, just. So when it's time for writing, and when you will be writing some scripts to some things, there'll be times where you can cut things. Cut it out, and it will help you get your point across quicker and more directly. Stale words are just, these were strong and powerful, but over time they lost meaning. They got overused. Now words like, I think you're too young for this, but thing beings epic. Epic, that's epic used to have, if something was epic, this is the stories of the gods and heroes. Heracles, he was in an epic. He had the struggles to go through. We can say Yi Sun-shin is an epic hero of Korean history. He's an epic hero of Korea. You can say that. Yes, he is a monument. He's monumental. He literally has a monument to him. But then people started using the word like to describe their food. Like, instead of saying delicious, they're like, oh, dude, bro, this sandwich is totally epic. And it's just a Subway sandwich. It's just a Subway. It's fine. But words have meaning. The more we use words, it's like they lose their power. They lose their effectiveness if we use them too much. And other examples as well, but I think that's nice. So words like ultimate, stunning, amazing, wonderful. We use it. If we overuse it, it loses its meaning. It's kind of like the boy who cried wolf, as in he cried out so much that people didn't believe him. So if you use a word too much, are people really going to believe you? When people say everything's delicious, do they even know what delicious is? Is that the word they use to just talk about food? Maybe. But so that's think about stale words. Doughy words have some taste, but aren't flavorsome. So we don't want to use them too often. Now, these are function words. And this gets a little more tricky about this, depending on how much we've learned. We do need to use these words. They're essential. Like if we're making pizza, we have to use flour. But if we use too much flour, it doesn't taste as good. Words like them, it, their, he, other pronouns, he, she, it, is, are, was, other forms to be. We can play with that. The big category is words of what we call low nutritional value. This goes back to the marshmallow metaphor, but here we have Coca-Cola, Coke. If you're thirsty and you drink Coca-Cola, it does the job. It has caffeine. It's got sugar in it. Nothing else, though. So they seem to have meaning, but their meaning's weak. So the example is, what is a good blog post? What does it mean if something's fun? What does that mean? I don't know what it means. If something's Jamieta, I don't know what that means. I know what it means, the definition, but I don't know what it means to that person, to the speaker. So if something's good, does it mean it's entertaining, engaging, useful, interesting, enlightening? We don't know. They use the word good or fine. Something's fine. So how to define a successful businesswoman? What does that mean, to be successful? Does it mean she makes a lot of money? Does she have enough time to do what she wants? Does she inspire you to make the world a better place? Don't know. So words like good and successful can be problematic because they can be interpreted in many different ways. They're not specific enough. That happens. So we'll need to be careful of this, and I want us to be aware of this as we go along. Other examples, nice, bad, and effective. Effective is not an effective word, as it turns out. So how can we do this? How can we add flavor? So 1, use stronger, more precise words. You look at your thesaurus function and get some different words. Add some more emotion. Appeal to the senses, to sight, smell, touch, taste, hearing as well. And then add some of your own personality. It helps make things more interesting for us. And so we got a nice little cartoon here too. So chop off the bland words, sprinkle in strong words. Strong words means, not bad words, not swear words, but, meaningful words. Emotion, appealing to senses, add personality. Let's look at some examples. 1. There was a crazy Dutch girl who wrote our sales copy. So we have a weak word, there. Do we need this? No. A crazy Dutch girl wrote our sales copy. We can just write it. We don't need to say there was a. We can just say a crazy. So a crazy Dutch girl wrote our sales copy. There was a crazy Dutch girl who wrote our sales copy. We can cut out the doughy words, the weak words. They don't add anything to, they don't add any more flavor. They don't make anything clearer. It just makes it longer. And longer isn't better. Now, another example with a stale word, the ultimate guide to developing a writing habit. We have ultimate guide. Ultimate means the best, or actually ultimate doesn't mean the best. It means the final, the last. So, but we use it to mean the best. That's not, so we gotta think of something else. Example, a lazy girl's guide to developing a writing habit. See, we have lazy, or a dilly-dallyer's guide to sticking to a writing habit. We have another, this fun old-fashioned word, dilly-dallyer. So be more creative. Use a thesaurus. Try to think of other words. Another example we have here. In my opinion, this blog post is pretty good. We have weak phrases of in my opinion, That's a chewy phrase. And pretty good. The low nutritional value doesn't mean anything. So we have 3 possible replacements. This blog post is entertaining and useful for anyone who writes. We don't need to say, in my opinion, because you're writing it. We can guess that's your opinion. Unless it's somebody else's opinion, then you need to say it. But if you're writing it down, it's your thoughts. If it's somebody else's thoughts, then you need to actually, provide quotations and citations. Second example, this blog post blew my mind. I've never read such a fun tutorial before. So we see here, superlative blew my mind, as in it was very amazing. Third example, which is in keeping with the food metaphors, this blog post was so scrumptious, I gobbled it up and craved more. So we can use metaphors, which we'll talk about, later, to make things more interesting. And I think it's good practice for us. Here, another example. She was writing her blog post on Sunday. So we have the weaker words was, she, and her. We have she, was, her. Well, to make it more interesting, we can say it. Henrietta illustrated her writing recipe on Sunday. She wrote her blog post on Sunday. We need to add some details there, just a bit of details. Just to note, make sure we don't have confusion about pronouns. If we have she or it or he or them or they, make sure we know who we're talking about. Let's take a look at 2 videos that I think provide a very nice comparison and contrast as well about what we're trying to do, what all we're trying to do today with word choice and how we use words, and see what words mean, if that makes sense. These 2 videos are both fictional. One is from a movie and one's from a cartoon, but they're both related with food. I want you to think, how would you describe the atmosphere, the general feeling in the video? And also, how would you describe the food that the people are making, that they're preparing? Let's watch.
In prison, dinner was always a big thing. We had a pasta course, and then we had a meat or a fish. Paulie did the prep work. He was doing a year for contempt, and he had this wonderful system for doing the garlic. He used a razor, and he used to slice it so thin that it used to liquefy in the pan with just a little oil. It's a very good system. Vinny was in charge of the tomato sauce.
Ah, got the smell. Got 3 kinds of meat in the meatballs.
What'd you put in there?
Veal, beef, and pork.
Ah, good, but you gotta have the pork.
Oh, that's the flavor.
I felt he used too many onions, but it was still a very good sauce.
Vinny, don't put too many onions in the sauce.
I didn't put too much onions, Paul. 3 small onions, that's all I did.
3 onions. How many cans of tomatoes you put in there?
I put 2 cans, 2 big cans.
You don't need 3 onions.
Johnny Dio did the meat. We didn't have a broiler, so Johnny did everything in pans. I used to smell up the joint something awful, and the hacks used to die, but he still cooked a great steak.
Vinny, how do you like yours?
Rare, medium rare.
Medium rare. An aristocrat.
See, when you think of prison, you get pictures in your mind of all those old movies with rows and rows of guys behind bars. But it wasn't like that for Wise Guys. It really wasn't that bad, except that I missed Jimmy. He was doing his time in Atlanta.
Vinny, give me 2 steaks while you're in there, all right, John? Sure enough, she goes in a
I mean, everybody else in the joint was doing real time, all mixed together, living like pigs. But we lived alone. I mean, we owned the joint.
Well, battered them 2 son of a bitches. You couldn't recognize them.
Good, they deserved it.
Even the hacks we couldn't bribe would never rat on the guys that we did.
The neighborhood had respect. People loved one another. You left your doors open.
Sorry it took so long. The skinny guard's getting to be a real pain in the ass.
We're gonna have to do something about that bastard.
I took care of him.
All right, what'd you bring?
All right, bread.
Good. Fresh.
Vinny, I got your peppers and onions, salami, prosciutto, a lot of cheese.
Come on. What else?
Scotch.
Nice.
Some red wine.
Okay. Now we could eat.
I got some white,
Give
too.
me the white, too. Beautiful. Okay, boys, let's see. Come on, it's ready. Vinny,
Coming up for some more bread.
tomorrow we eat sandwiches. You gotta go on a diet, Vinny.
Sandwiches are a kid.
Believe me. Johnny? What do you mean?
So, in that clip from the film Goodfellas, what do we see? What do we know? We see older men cooking. We know they're in jail. Every man has a role, has a job, and they eat dinner together. But how can we describe that? What words would we use to describe that scene? How does it feel? Does it feel angry? Are the men in suffering? Do they feel lonely? No, they feel a sense of, almost family-like. It's familiar. And think about the smells. What kind of foods they have. We see the Don, the leader of the group, the fat man who sits down most of the time. He's doing the preparation work. He's cutting up the vegetables. He's cut specifically the garlic, all those things. And then another man with the glasses that makes the spaghetti, the pasta sauce, as it were. When they talk about making that. And another guy with a cigar, he's cooking steak on a pan. And then the younger guy, he's the one who actually has to go out and get stuff. Because, he's young, he has to go get the stuff. So that's what happens. But if I ask you to describe that, and as in what's the feeling of that scene, what words might we use? Would we use friendly? Would we use sad? They are in prison. They are in jail, after all. Would we use warm? What words might we use? So, single or compound words. What would we use to describe that scene? And do they look uncomfortable? I don't think so. Really not. They have an apartment together. So they're there with people they like and can talk with and play games and spend time together. And they're eating lobster. So, they're pretty okay. So so they're eating quite nice. So for the discussion question, as you might be guessing, I'm going to ask you to describe in single words this scene and then the following scene as well. But what words will we use to describe the scene? This scene with Goodfellas and the scene with that we'll watch next.
The perfect chance to make my patented space age out of this world moon waffles. Let's see here. Caramels, waffle batter, liquid smoke. Ooh, waffle runoff. Mmm, fattening.
Right, so there's the second clip. It's much shorter than the first one, and that, of course, is Homer Simpson from The Simpsons, one of the early episodes. Now, in that scene, that short scene, we see Homer Simpson, the father. He makes his patented, famous space age moon waffles. And how would you describe that scene? What words would you use? Is it funny? Well, if it's funny, is funny a fluffy or flavorful word? Because what does that mean, funny? So this is an example of a chance where we can use more direct, specific words. We can say that it is pathetically hilarious because Homer Simpson, he's making garbage food. He's making, quite literally, an example of low nutrition fluffy food, as in he's taking caramels, candies, waffle, something called liquid smoke, cooking it, and then wrapping it around a stick of butter. So it's decadent, it's fattening, it's gluttonous. It's all these other phrases, and he's clearly happy. But is he with his loving family? No, he's not. So the words we can use to describe this scene are different. And even though they're two very different scenes, they're both centered around food and eating food and in their own ways enjoying food. But they are very different scenes. And so, for this week, for our discussion questions on the discussion boards, I would like you to do the following. I would like you to describe these two scenes, the scene from Goodfellas and the scene from The Simpsons, and choose 3 to 5 words that describe the scene, and have them be descriptive words that really actually work. As in, don't just say funny, fat, good, yummy. That's no good at all. That's no good at all. We need to have descriptive words that have meaning and are specific. So choose 3 to 5 specific meaning words to help describe each scene. And that will be our discussion questions for the week. There we have it. That is week 2. In this class, in this session, we mostly covered how to make our words better and how to use better words to make our speech, make our writing, make our future lessons more memorable and better, more effective than we join right now. So that is something that we'll be working on throughout the semester. I want us to be aware of and trying to think about what the best word, what the most effective word is for the situation. Not everything is good. There's different kinds of goods, and I want us to use synonyms as much as we can to expand and practice our expanding vocabularies. So that will come in handy. We do have the discussion questions to watch out for, and again, nothing too stressful there. We are going to have our first assignment coming up for week 3. It'll be fully announced week 3. But, this is very much an untacked class, as they say. And you've seen my face now, but I don't know who you are for anything. And your first assignment is going to be a brief introduction video. Nothing too stressful, but it is going to involve audio and video things. So that is something we're going to be looking forward to in the future. Please make sure you take care of your discussion questions. Those count as your participation for the class, and they are part of your grade. So make sure you don't forget to do those things, and make sure that you participate fully. If you just write meh or good, well, that don't count, You're not preschoolers. So that is something to look forward to. I hope you have an excellent week, and I hope you're staying happy and healthy. For all love, stay healthy. Stay safe, too. If you have any questions, please ask on eClass. Again, nothing too stressful so far. Be careful of our word choice, and where we can recognize that longer is not necessarily better. Speaking of which, I think it's time that we say our goodbyes. If you have any questions, ask on eClass, and we'll see each other next time. Thank you very much, and goodbye.